Hey guys, in this video, I'm showing you a 2.5-year-old retail ceramic coating that has stood the test of time with basically as minimal maintenance as you could possibly imagine. So 2.5 years ago, I applied the P&S Inspiration ceramic coating from Rennie Doyle on this Mini Cooper. And the process was actually very simple. I stripped and washed the Mini Cooper just like you would in any other ceramic coating situation. And then in that particular situation, I used my rotary polisher to polish the entire exterior. I used the CSI ceramics polish that I normally use when I'm talking about polishing. So no, I didn't use a dual action. I did a rotary because at that particular time, 2.5 years ago, I knew that I could get that particular job done a little bit faster with a rotary polisher, which is why I did it. And I want to do a maintenance wash on this car real quick here to show you guys exactly how awesome this ceramic coating is 2.5 years later, because it's still standing the test of time. And I want to share with you guys the one variable that I think actually caused this to happen, and it really doesn't have anything to do with the ceramic coating itself. Now, before we do that, if you guys are interested in getting involved in paint correction and ceramic coatings in your detailing business, go below in the YouTube description box. I've got a free 5-part video series called the Ceramic Coating Quick Start. And essentially, we're going to give you guys the hands-on skills you need to not only know how to start doing paint correction and applying ceramic coatings, but also which polishes to pick, which polisher to pick, which ceramic coating to pick, how to save money, and the most important part of the whole video series is that last part where we're actually teaching you guys how to get your first few customers so that you can actually start making $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 per ceramic coating, so you don't just have a bunch of hands-on skills that you can't monetize. So the reason why I'm talking about the Inspiration ceramic coating from P&S is because any retail grade coating that can last this well 2.5 years later is something worth talking about. And many times in the detailing world, we ask questions like, how long will a ceramic coating last? What kind of maintenance do I need to do? And there's not a lot of like empirical data or straight up studies out there over the long term where people have actually measured week by week, month by month, year by year. And because I've been posting videos on the YouTube channel for the last 5 years, I get the opportunity to actually do these really long drawn out studies. So again, this is empirical data over the last 2.5 years. You would be hard pressed to find something like this elsewhere. But again, 2.5 years later, this ceramic coating has indeed stood the test of time. So let's get into the maintenance wash and watch this every step of the way so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. So the first thing I'm going to do is obviously clean the wheels, tires, and wheel wells. No, the wheels are not coated anymore with any ceramic coating. So I'm just using my Meguiar's wheel and tire cleaner to get rid of all the dirt, grease, and grime on the wheel wells, wheels, and tires. Now after that, I want to show you guys what it looks like when I'm just rinsing down the car. So this is just the car pulled out of the garage. I'm rinsing it down before I do a pre-foam stage. You can see there is some beading or some separation, particularly on the hood. We'll look in a few other places. You can see the beading a little bit more pronounced on the sides of the doors and the fender where gravity is helping push the water down. But nonetheless, my point is, even on top of the surface dirt, grease, and grime of this car, you can still see that the coating is actually there in this maintenance wash. The hood is a little bit more difficult because it sits, again, where gravity is not pushing directly downwards, so there's a little bit less beading and a little bit more sheeting, but I just want to show you guys what it looks like before we remove the surface dirt, grease, and grime. Now, moving on from that, I am going to do a quick pre-foam rinse here, and just so you guys know, I am not using a foam cannon soap that is ceramic-based or wax-based, or it's got a lot of like polymer sealants in it. This is just a straight-up foam soap that's going to strip the car. It is pH neutral. It's going to be safe for a ceramic coating, but it doesn't have any additives in it in terms of protection. So I am just using a pre-foam soap to pull the dirt off. That's my whole point here. Now, after the foam has had some time to sit and really like start to work on the paint, and by the way, I do leave the foam on the paint a lot longer when I'm maintaining a ceramic coating like this. Like I will let, not in the sun, but I will let that foam almost like dry on the paint. I'm being a little dramatic here, but I will let it sit far longer on a ceramic coating when it's overcast and kind of chilly outside, because it's not going to dry. It's not going to do anything bad to the paint, but that's going to allow it to really stir up that surface dirt, and it just helps me maintain the ceramic coating because I'm not going to have to do as much, let's say, aggressive work in the agitation wash. Now, I just want to show you guys what it looks like when we are actually rinsing off the paint here from the foam cannon, because you can see, essentially, we're getting slightly more beading, and really what this is we're exposing the ceramic coating just that much more because we've pulled off a certain level of that surface dirt with that pre-foam rinse, okay? Now, when I wash, I'm using a 2-bucket method here with a new wash mitt. It's no big deal. Again, I don't generally use a 2-bucket method when I'm not maintaining a ceramic coating or I'm not maintaining a new vehicle, but in a situation like this, I'm going to take precautions like that 2-bucket method, pulling the surface dirt off safely. I'm only using my mitt around kind of the top of the vehicle, then I use a microfiber towel to address those lower rocker panels and the black trim below. Now, after the agitation wash, when I'm actually rinsing off the agitation wash soap, you guys can see basically this coating has been fully exposed at this point. The water beading is insane. Now, I want want you guys to see again, whether we're looking at the sides of the door, whether we're looking at the fender, whether we're looking at the hood, you can see that beading is fully restored, at least at a visual level. We can see, and even on the hood where it was kind of more difficult to see in the beginning, once again, that ceramic coating now no longer has any surface dirt on it, surface grease and grime. It doesn't have any pollen. This time of year in Nashville, Tennessee, we get a ton of pollen. So once all that stuff is removed, all that beading and sheeting is totally restored. And really, I want you guys to take note of just how intensely this is beading. By the way, on the black trim, I did put a Cerakote trim restorer on it, which is also a ceramic protection, which is why the black trim is beading at such a high level as well. But you guys, I just want you to see, look at how well that beading is happening. I mean, look at how intense this is. This is 2.5 years later. 2.5 years later, a retail grade ceramic coating. This is incredible. I mean, I'm kind of like looking at it still, just like, man, this is absolutely awesome. And one of the notes here is that just because water is beading or not beading on the paint doesn't actually mean a ceramic coating or some sort of sealant protection is or isn't there. Once again, you actually have to expose that coating, that sealant, whatever is sitting on the paint to protect it in order to get that full effect of the beading. So if there's surface dirt and all that stuff, you're not going to see that happening. Even sometimes if we use a certain chemical on the paint and you haven't washed it with water and soap, that chemical residue will sit on the paint and actually hinder that beading, even though the protection is sitting underneath that layer of residue. That's why I showed you guys every step of the way, the agitation wash, the foam stage, the pre-foam stage, to see what the beading looked like throughout that entire process. So what's the one thing that keeps a ceramic coating and essentially a car in this type of condition where the ceramic coating 2.5 years later, a retail grade coating 2.5 years later, is going to bead like this? In my opinion, it is the fact that the car is garage kept year round. It's important to understand that this car, it's not a car that gets driven only on the weekends. It's not a car that doesn't get driven in the rain. It is essentially a daily driver car. This particular client does have another vehicle, but this car gets driven on a daily basis, and if not daily, then multiple days per week. It does get driven in the rain, it does get driven in the sunshine, it gets driven in the cold, it gets driven in the heat, but it is garage kept every night, and any time that it's not being driven during the day, it is garage kept. In my experience, in my detailing world, that is the number one thing that is going to make or break a ceramic coating. And I do not maintain this coating on a weekly or regular monthly basis. At most, this car is maintained about 4 times a year, so it's quarterly. So that just goes to show you guys, once again, in these long-term experiments, 2.5 years later, 4 maintenance washes a year, and a car that is garage kept, and you can actually start to expect and make certain promises long-term, projecting out, hey, this is how long it's gonna last. Here's the evidence, da 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 da. So guys, if you like long-term experiments like this, where I put them into video form and you guys can just get the answers on exactly how long a coating lasts based on real-world evidence, hit the like button because it lets me know you like this type of content and I can put more of it out. Once again, don't bounce off this video without going below in the YouTube description box and getting into the ceramic coating quick start, that free 5-part video series. We're gonna teach you exactly how to start doing paint correction and ceramic coatings and how to bring in your first few customers. It's extremely valuable. We get emails all the time talking about how valuable this type of information is. So go below, click the link, it's totally free. Guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button if you want more detailing videos like this, particularly in the business vein of the detailing world. And as always, from Luke here at Wilson Auto Detailing, keep working hard, and I'll see you guys in the next video.